Hi.
I'd just like to introduce Tony Williams, a very old friend of mine, right back to the 60s in fact, and he was a well-known musician. His group was called Steelers Wheels and did a lot of session work and played with Jethro Tull. Since then he's got involved in looking after Blackpool, and he's going to be the mayor, although he won't admit to it. I'm telling you. So this is Tony, and he knows me, so ask him a few questions.
Thanks, Clive. I could go back to, I think it was 1964, I was about 17. I was in a band in Blackpool called the Executives, but we were very friendly and great fans of a band from Preston called David, John and the Mood. They were way ahead of the time. They were playing the circuit, they were a really good rock and roll blues band, and the Stones were definitely influenced by them, so was David Bowie. So a lot of big names owe a lot to David John. They didn't quite make it, they did have a single out. But we used to go over on the train, sometimes on a Saturday, just to hang out with them. And we went over one night, a friend of mine, the bass player from the band, and went to Miffy's house. And then all of a sudden, I think it was John turned up in the van, and we were off to the Cubic Club in Rochdale, because John Mayall was playing. So we decided that's where we were going that night. We got to the club and we walked through the door, and Clive had an office on the left-hand side as you're going down the steps, right, which was a huge room. And of course the club wasn't licensed, but Clive's office was, so that was great. We had a few drinks in there.
And a couple of whiskies.
We had a couple of whiskies, yeah. And I was only 17, but that's the way it goes. And then we went in to watch the band, and the stage in the Cubic, if I remember, it was rather strange. It was sort of one half here, then like a little wall, and then the other half was round the corner. John Mayall was round this side with his organ and a box of harmonicas, making a great noise through a Burns Orbit amplifier. And round the other side was the band, if you like. There was a guy on drums who I thought was a bit too jazzy, and a bass player who I later found out, I think, was Muff Winwood from Stevie Winwood's band.
Ah, it was Stevie Winwood.
Yeah, it was Muff Winwood, I think.
Stevie did his first show for me.
Well, it could have been him. But there on this stool was this skinny guy with a little crew cut playing a Fender Telecaster. And we didn't doing that much, and all of a sudden it was his turn to take a break, and I was just gobsmacked. This guy was actually bending strings, and I'd never seen that before. He was lifting strings and getting notes and playing very bluesy guitar, as we know it today. And I was just absolutely whacked at that. I'd never seen that amount of bending strings and getting those sort of notes. And then in the break, we were all in Clive's office, the band and Miffy and the rest of the Mood and ourselves. And I went up to this skinny guy with a crew cut, and I said, how do you do that? And he said, oh, I'll show you. And he opened his guitar case, took this Telecaster out, and immediately I had a lesson on how to bend strings. And he was telling me that he used banjo strings instead of guitar strings that were made by Clifford Essex, and he told me which sort of grade of string to buy. And we chatted for ages, and we went back to the guitar, and he was showing me some other stuff. A really, really nice guy. Then we had a few more drinks. They were about to go back on stage, and he again came up and said, you know, let me show you a couple of other things I've learned. This was done by this guy, this was done by that guy. So I had a good hour and a half one-on-one lesson, and we got back in the van to come back to Blackpool after watching the second set, and I just said, that guy was really nice, and what a great player. And somebody in the Mood said, yeah, that's a guy called Eric Clapton. And I said, well, yeah, I'll remember him, I'll watch out for him. And it's just amazing that I can go back at 17 and say I had a one-on-one lesson and experience with probably the best blues guitar player ever. And I remembered everything he taught me, and I did go and get the banjo strings, and I did change my guitar to a Stratocaster, and I think his influence has stayed with me ever since. Thanks to Clive.
Thanks to me, well. I didn't know at that time that I was going to get you in touch with Eric Clapton. He was, what was his? It was the White Horses, if I remember rightly. Eric Slowhand, wasn't it?
Well, Slowhand was his nickname.
Yes, right, Eric Slowhand.
I don't know, I think after he left John Mayall, he went to the Yardbirds.
Yardbirds, that's it.
Yeah, he played with the Yardbirds, and ironically enough, Jeff Beck was his replacement. And the drummer in Steelers Wheel, who's still the drummer in Steelers Wheel, Rod Coombs, played with the Yardbirds. I think he played with the Yardbirds, but he also definitely played with Jeff Beck. So I keep finding these family connections, you know, we keep, oh yeah, I played with him, no, I remember him. It's very strange. I was in Lanzarote not too long ago, and I was talking to a guy at the bar, and he said, I've just sort of read up on you. He said, you played with Jethro Tull? And I said, yeah. He said, well, Marty Barr, the guitar player with Tull, he said, yeah, he said, I played on his first solo album. So it's just unbelievable how you find these things. And I did manage to catch up with Eric Clapton sometime later. It was in a cafe, actually, and I went up to him and I said, you won't remember me. I said, but I remember you. I said, but not for the reasons you might think. I said, you gave me a guitar lesson. And he's got quite a good memory, actually. And he said, oh, I remember the Cubic Club in Rochdale. Yeah, he said, yeah, I did that with Mail a few times.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And I thought when you first told me the story, I thought you were talking about the Catacombs, the Preston Cabin Club, was you?
No, it was a Rochdale.
It was a Rochdale Cubic Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. That's when the Rolling Stones were due to go on, signed a contract, and they still owe me the show. I paid them. Eric Easton Agency. I've still got the contract, and they still owe me the show.
I don't think they do a show now for 150 quid, Clive. I think
no, but
we
with
asked you more money.
It was 350 I gave them.
Oh, that's a lot of money in the 60s. Ooh, that's a lot of money.
Put that in the bank in Brazil in interest, it's worth about $500,000 now.
Yeah. Incredible. And I tell you another story looking to Eric Clapton, which I didn't realise at the time. In the mid or the early 70s, I went to Chicago. A friend of mine was living there, and he very kindly sent for me. He said he was missing a mate. I think he wanted to go out and have a few drinks with a mate. And he took me to this club called the Rush Up.
Rush Up?
The Rush Up Club, yeah.
Rush Up?
On Rush Street, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was a blues club, essentially. And I walked in, there's a guy on stage playing a Fender Stratocaster in a sort of like a dungarees, you know. I thought, wow, he's good. He's a really good guy, you know. Shaka Khan was actually on the bill as well. And Pete said, oh, he said, I'll introduce you, we'll go over. And because Pete was a photographer, he'd take pictures of all these people and knew everybody in the club. And I went up and he said, this is Tony Williams, he's from England, he's a musician, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'd like to meet Buddy Guy.
Buddy Guy.
Buddy Guy. And I thought, oh, I know that name. And he was really nice, and he was a bit out, a bit scatty, but I later discovered, of course, Buddy Guy was Eric Clapton's big influence. So not only did I get the one-on-one from Eric Clapton, I got to meet the guy that influenced Eric Clapton. We didn't have a guitar lesson, unfortunately, but...
And I used to go and watch Tony every Thursday here in Cleveland at the pub. Was it called Victoria?
The Royal.
The Royal.
Yeah.
Every Thursday. So we've been in rock and roll. I'm the foot soldier, the promoter, and Tony's the musician, the creator. Right? I create the venues, he creates the music, and we're still friends. And I guess we've seen each other every few years, right, for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Or more.
We're like bad pennies, we keep turning up.
Yeah. There you go. Hi there. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go see you.